Your self-motivation is to look yourself beyond the problem and find a solution, focus on the solution, and be motivated by that solution. So we're talking about motivation. If you're excited about something, if you're hype about something, a lot of times if you're just starting into something new, you can be excited about it, inspired, motivated. And a lot of times people say that's motivation. But there's another side to motivation of when it's not new, when it's something day to day that you have to get done, or you're working on a bigger project. Motivation is actually something deeper than just that short inspiration or excitement. Mm-hmm. Motivation includes the grind, includes the day to day, get it done, and that goes back if you are doing something that is purposeful and fulfilling, or is part of your ability, it is part of who you are. If you know what you're doing and who you are and what you want to do, that actually creates motivation.
I like to take this approach to life where I don't really like to allow society to define to me what something means. I like to kind of go into the etymology of it, which is the root meaning and sort of the origin of a word and what it was sort of meant from the beginning. And for me, motivation, actually the word motivation is where we get our word movement. If there's no movement, then there's no motivation. And so I think it's very important to have a foundation for every principle, every concept that you're seeking to apply in your life. Because it's like, if a person didn't go to school, they can't really understand their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s. And so they got to start with the basics. And so for me, the basic of motivation is it's about moving.
Dang,
that's
powerful actually, because actually movement creates that motivation. It does. And you just said that. But if you get into that, in the moments where you're feeling unmotivated, if you actually move towards
just get moving.
Right. If you get moving, that's when that motivation can kick in. Mm-hmm. It's not, a lot of times we get inspired or motivated. We say motivated to do something, mm-hmm. but that was caused by a movement somewhere.
Yeah.
So movement inspires motivation.
So let's take this a step further. We understand that in the laws of physics that every action has an equal reaction.
Yeah.
When it comes to motivation and getting moved, there's always a stimuli that gets a reaction for motivation. So motivation doesn't actually exist without this idea of obligation and responsibility. In other words, there's movement because there's an obligation to move, or I've been obliged to move, or there's a response to move. And the thing is these responses, or this responsibility and this obligation, is not something that's necessarily chosen or done consciously. I'll give you an example. Our bodies have a natural motivation to protect itself. There's the immune system. If you get cold, you don't have to be motivated for your hairs to start to stick up. Your body does it naturally because it's trying to sort of keep itself warm to some degree. It's a natural response. So there was a stimuli, and then there was the response to the stimuli. And so when it comes to motivation, to get something moving, there just has to be something that causes it to want to protect itself or to move into the next level or whatever have you. Yeah. And so I believe that if you want to get someone motivated about something, you have to show them. There has to be some sort of association as to why you need to do this. Not that this is just a good idea or something that could potentially help you.
Right.
But they have to understand on a deep, basic level that this is something that you need to be successful or to be in a better place.
That's good, because if you think about a better place, that requires an aim, that requires a goal. So that's why goals are so important, and thinking about future need, desire, whatever it is, thinking about the future, because that inspires thought about what you need. That inspires thought about what movement you need to take. So movement is important, but if you don't know where you're going, then why move?
Right. Which is where the association comes in. So for some people, they're motivated to, have a whole lot of money, and so they keep that goal in front of their eyes, and that is what keeps them motivated because they've made a connection with, if I could just have this, if I could just reach this point, then I will be happy. Right. I will be successful. Everything's going to be good. And the thing is whether or not that's true, they still have found it in themselves that that's the stimuli that's causing a reaction in them to get them moving. For another person, it's not going to be the same. Maybe they have a different reason, which therefore gives them a different motivation or a different reason to move.
Yeah.
And so, but either way it goes, if it's not something that causes you to move, then you will not have the motivation.
Right. That's good. Movement before motivation. Movement comes before motivation. Now, if you're doing stuff outside of who you are or who you're supposed to be to get to a certain goal, it won't work out. That's movement that goes against the grain, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So if you have a goal of getting $1 million, but you're not doing something that is who you are, your ability, then it just won't work out. It really won't. It's just not good for you because it's not who you are. So I'm talking about, like, I guess we all have a gifting and a calling, is what I'm getting at, is our gifting, who we are, and what we can give to the world. But if we find that, let's just go that aspect. If we find that and we're working towards that, then that gives us that momentum, that movement, motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, I like to one way that I find motivation is I make these mental associations and comparisons within myself. So like when I was in grade school or even in college, it's like if there was an assignment that was given to me and I wanted to pass, that in and of itself is the reason, and that is sort of the obligation that I have. I am here at school because I want to get a degree. And so with that goal in mind, every assignment that's given to me is another reason for me to move. And so it's going to get a response out of me, which therefore becomes my responsibility, which again, you cannot separate responsibility and motivation. So as long as there's responsibility for a goal, then the motivation will always meet the responsibility. And so that's the problem. People don't have an associated responsibility with their goal. Therefore, they don't have the motivation. So when you have responsibility and you have a goal, the motivation will always be there. Say it with that said, once I make this association that, even though I'm not in school right now, what if this was an assignment given to me? What if this problem, this issue, or this goal that I want to reach was like an assignment that was given to me? Guaranteed, I would do my best to overcome this problem. Except this time, it can have real life consequences.
Right.
So if making $1 million was my goal, if that was an assignment in school, and if I didn't make $1 million by the end of the semester, I failed, I would be doing everything in my power, everything in my ability to respond with the responsibility to reach $1 million. And I think even whether or not I really reached it, maybe I only got $500,000. Right. I mean, who could use $500,000 in their life? Just about anybody could. So it's like once I make those associations of like, how do I find the sense of responsibility? Yeah. And this sense of obligation, this is something I must do. Yeah. For whatever the reason is, that's when it'll get me moving, and that's when I find true motivation.
Yeah, that's interesting. True motivation. You say true motivation. I would say that's synonymous with self-motivation, because there's a difference between self-motivation and external.
Right. So some guy that's self-motivated.
Right. So motivation in general, you could say, is that inspiration, that hype about a certain thing, or being motivated by external sources. So the teacher, it's due. There's a punishment if you don't get it done.
Right.
There's that sort of motivation that's all around us in our day-to-day life. There's things we have to do. That's we're motivated by an external source. And then there's self-motivation, where if I have a goal, I have a set goal, I have a thought, I have a purpose.
Yeah.
I have a purpose to complete. And that's where the self-motivation comes in, is that responsibility of setting those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I just think that's I think that's awesome, that that's where a lot of people get messed up, however, is they're trying to be motivated. I'm trying to be motivated to eat right. I'm trying to be motivated to work out. I'm trying to be motivated to do better in relationships or communication, or, be better in social circumstances and situations. The thing is if your mind can't get out of the connection to the problem and continuing to experience the problem that you're having, you're not necessarily motivated by the problem itself. The problem will cause you to want to find the motivation. The problem will cause you to want to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
But the thing is the problem itself, you can be stuck in the problem and you're not moving at all.
Right.
You're trying to, but really that's just squirming, and that's where you get failure.
Yeah.
But if you really want to move with success, you have to be able to look above the problem and find that good thing,
that solution.
Focus
on the solution. That's actually really good, because you cannot fix your unmotivation by looking at the problem.
That's key.
You have to look above the problem, beyond the problem, to the solution.
That's good, because if the problem, some people think that, it's a problem that's motivating me. It's the fact that I've been through hard times that I'm so motivated. Not necessarily, because if it was hardship that motivated you, then why do we have so many people continuing to live in hardship year after year after year after year? They're literally stuck. And it's like I said, they're squirming in their problems. But the problem is they never really stopped to make a reassociation and reassess the situation.
Yeah, an adjustment.
An adjustment of their perspective, and say, you know what? How can I disconnect and out of getting stuck with this problem the way I have been? How do I get a reason and find that obligation within myself, a natural response?
Yeah.
Where it's so true. The motivation is so true that it's a natural response.
That's good.
Those are the difference makers.
That's
the
good.
people that have overcome in life, whether it's business success, relationships, or anything like that, or even just emotional issues that you might have. Yeah. The people that do that are the people that will continue to win, because when they see the problem, instead of just being stuck on the problem, they've learned through the newfound motivation how to just get above it due to the success principle that now lives on the inside of
That's good. That is the difference between motivation and self-motivation, because focusing on the problem is a motivation by an external source. You're motivated by the problem. Your self-motivation is to look yourself beyond the problem, beyond these external motivations, and find a solution, focus on the solution, and be motivated by that solution. So it's a different perspective. Self-motivation versus just motivation. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys.